today we are going to learn about the landforms of the earth. The topic, we'll just open it up. Now I'll just share screen, my page, and then I'll start topic wise. See, landforms are natural, geographical or physical features of the earth. And the land covering is not uniform everywhere. It differs, okay? At some places it rises high, while at others it is flat. You can see the picture what I have shared in the screen. Can you observe, teachers? It's not even everywhere. It is somewhere it's raised, somewhere it's low. It's like that. So the landforms, majorly they are divided into 6 parts, mainly. I should say. So now you can have a clear view of the landforms. Yes, it is not even everywhere. You can see houses down. You can see the trees. You can see mountains. So it's uneven. Now, these are the major landforms of the earth. A landform is a feature on the earth's surface that is part of the land. So the main types are mountains, hills, valleys, plateau, plain, and desert. Now, you can ask them, how many of these are found in India? See, before going into the lesson, after just telling them these are the major types, you can ask how many of them are found in India. Can you give some examples of a city or a country where they are found? Surely they might tell 1 or 2. Yes. What sort of examples you expect from children? Imagine this lesson is for class 5. Okay. Assume it to be for class 5. This is not for class 3. It's for class 5. So what answer you expect from children?
They can say hills, deserts.
Examples they can say. Okay, what sort of example you expect for a hill or a desert? Why not a
for
mountain?
Surely they will tell Himalayas.
Yes, Himalaya, they will say, because in class 4 they learn about the mountains. That's why I said, imagine this is for class 5. Okay, so in class 4 they are learning about mountains, deserts, plateaus. These 3 they are learning. Okay, but as different topic, they are learning about the tropical deserts or grasslands or plateau, southern plateau, like that they are learning, but not together as one. So surely they might tell you Himalaya for mountain, Thar desert, and of course Deccan plateau. They might come up with these. Plains, they might tell northern plains or they might not. It depends. And valley, it's a new term. Hill and valley, we are going to talk to them now only. So they won't.
No, ma'am. Already they know about valley also, ma'am. Because there was one lesson in fourth standard.
That's what, ma'am.
Valley of
Reader
flowers,
to reader, the content differs. Okay. The content differs. So if they know, they can only tell the types. Yes, they are V-shaped or they are U-shaped.
Ma'am, already we gave an introduction about valley, ma'am.
Because
there was one lesson now, valley of flowers. That already.
Okay, so your school might tell, your children might tell, then it's fine. Then we can start explaining mountain. So this is the example. Mountain. It's an elevated land with slope on either side. Both the sides there is slope. And this is formed by the tectonic plates on Earth's surface pushing against each other. How it is formed. And it's vertically, it's moved. The movement and pressure cause the shape of the land to change. See, all these things happens naturally. These things are not man-made. That we have to first tell them. And you can also talk about the groups of mountains are called as mountain ranges. And the gap between the two mountains is called as pass. And the apex of the mountain, that is the top portion, is called as mountain peak. And based on your content, if they have divided, or if they are talking about Himalayas and divided as 3 components, then you can talk about that too. Depends on the reader and the content you have with you. So that's how you will take the theoretical part of this chapter. But generally, if you're going to talk about this, these things we'll surely talk about a mountain. And the highest mountain range is our Himalayas, and mountain peak in the world is Mount Everest. Then here you can ask them, are you familiar about somebody climbing the mountain, or do you know them? Have you heard about it? Who was the first one to climb Mount Everest? For general knowledge, you can ask them. Or if they are not coming out with the answers, you can ask them to find out and come back the next day. Like a sort of thought, which they might, but few children in class 5 surely will talk about Tenzing Norgay and Edmund Hillary, that they were the first to climb Mount Everest in 1953. Surely that they will tell you. Then comes the hill. Now, here you can say, when you look at the hill from a distance, okay, or from a moving train, it looks very small. Okay, when we go by a car or by a train, it looks very small. But when we go near it, it's very huge, it's gigantic once we start to climb. Why is it so? Why is it so? Why when we see far away, it is small, and when we go near it? Because mountains, they don't get a chance to look at this age. Hills, of course, they would have seen. So what sort of answer you expect from them? Teachers, anybody? So you can tell that as an object gets closer, the visual angle increases. So the object appears larger, and when the object moves further away, the visual angle of our eyes decreases. So it makes the object appear smaller. So that's why when we look from far away, Bharati ma'am, you're trying to tell something? No. Then you can start explaining about hill, that a hill is a landform or a piece of land that is above the surrounding land. It also has sloping sides, but the steepness is not that deep as that of a mountain. Okay. So hills are of many sizes. They are different, from small and flat to high and rolling. There are different types. And you can also talk about some hills does not look great, like they are not a good tourist spot. They are barren hills of a desert. So it's not that all hills are very cool, green, and a good tourist spot. You can talk about the difference of a hill and a mountain. Now look at the picture closely, teachers. See a natural mound of earth created either by faulting or erosion. Either it has happened naturally or by erosion. You can see, can you see my cursor moving? See, this is the mound of earth. This is
visible.
Yes. And it's lower in altitude and elevation, and it has a rounded top. Often it is not named. But whereas a natural mound of earth created by faulting, it is very steep and higher in altitude. Altitude is nothing but the height above the sea level and elevation. And it has a defined summit or peak, and often it is named. So in general, for class 5 children, you can say a hill is a small landform higher than the normal thing. Whereas mountain, it's a huge landform which is very high. In a simple way, you can define it that way. Now, a plain. Generally, theoretically, it is divided as 4, but we need not talk about all those 4 categories. Generally, for children in primary level, you can say plain is a flat land. Okay. Generally does not change in much elevation. In the height difference is not there. It will be flat everywhere. You can just define it as 2 types, inland plain and coastal plain. Inland means no sea and other things. It's inside. Coastal plain, the area near the coast. This much is enough for class 5 or 4, whatever it is. We need not go more into theory when we talk about the types or about the plain landform. And when you talk about this, you can ask them, what are the advantages? See, we live in a plain. Okay. Why? Why plain, or the area in plain or the landform plain is more populated?
Ma'am, it is suitable for agriculture, ma'am.
Yes.
So,
why do you say it is suitable for agriculture? Again, it's a chain, ma'am. We'll be talking the same again and again. It's a chain. So why it is suitable for agriculture?
Because plenty of water is available.
Water is available.
Soil is fertile.
Yes. Soil is fertile, rich with nutrients, and you can use it as a farmland. So the
favorable
reason is,
climate.
when we have food and water, obviously we'll stay there only. Yes. So a lot of developments takes place.
Soil erosion will not be there during rain season, ma'am, in the plain area.
Chances are less. And coastal plains are also very important. Why are they important? Coastal plains.
They will have the alluvial soil, deposit of alluvial soil. At least most of the coastal plain. Fertile soil.
No, not only soil. What else are more beneficial staying near the coast?
Is it fishing, ma'am? No.
Fishing, okay. Not only fish. Ma'am, earlier how we were moving from one place to other, ma'am?
In the coastal areas, we have harbors that helps for
transport, yes. Navigation. Moving from one place to the other was possible. And it is, I should say, a popular tourist spots now. Coastal regions. They are popular tourist spots. So you can talk about it, and that's the reason people stay there, and a lot of developments takes place near the coastal regions. General, apart from the theory, what is in the reader? Next, plateau. So plateau is also called a high plain or a tableland. It is an area of a highland usually consisting of relatively flat terrain, means the landform, that is raised significantly above the surrounding area. Often with one or more sides with steep slopes. If you closely look at these, can you see the top one? That is the plateau. You can ask children, like, have you ever wondered how are plateaus formed? Do you think a natural disaster can be a cause for a plateau?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Plateaus are formed due to soil erosion, wind erosion,
Volcanic
or when
eruption.
high speed winds pass through them, they erode the soil and take it with them. So that's one of the reasons plateau take. See here, it is explained clearly. Even this picture, you can see the top, the tableland is the plateau. Then you can ask the children, which is the most famous plateau in India?
Deccan Plateau.
Yes, Deccan Plateau. It is in the South India. And plateaus are of two types. They are low plateau and high plateau. Low plateau means again above the sea level. It is slightly only higher and flat. Higher plateau means it's very high from the sea level, the altitude or the elevation, what we talk about. And then the surface is flat. You can tell them. The low plateau, as we can say, is very good for farming, whereas the high plateau is only good for grazing. Cattle and other things can graze. There we cannot be cultivating. That is not suitable for cultivation. So low plateau region only is good for farming. This also you can tell them. Then comes the desert landform. See, desert is an area which receives very little amount of rainfall, not more than 25 mm per year. And these landscapes, they cover about 1/3 of the Earth's surface and are the most inhabitable regions of the Earth. So they might ask you, what is the inhabitable regions? Where people don't live more in number. You can tell them like that. And there are two types, hot deserts and cold deserts. Hot deserts, they are located along the equatorial region, Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn. Whereas cold desert, they are located closer to the Arctic and the Antarctic region. And you can tell the example for hot desert as Thar Desert. And for cold desert, you can refer Gobi Desert, which is in Mongolia and China. Now, Thar Desert
is also a cold desert, right, ma'am?
Can you repeat it, ma'am?
Ma'am?
Can you repeat it?
Yes, ma'am. Ladakh is also a cold. Ladakh, ma'am.
Yes. No, I just thought of telling another example.
Okay.
Thar Desert, it's sandy. See, deserts are also of two types. They are either sandy or rocky. Okay. Where the desert is sandy, the sand is in a powdered form, full of dust. Sand dunes are more common there. So you can see this is the sand dune, a small hill, and it's not permanent. It moves away with the wind. All this you can talk about when you teach the topic desert. Sometimes if they have not given the picture of sand dune, you can just draw on the board and just show that uneven shape of the soil is sand dune and it's not permanent. It will be moving with the wind. You can explain that. And you can also say that desert regions experience extreme climates. Yes. And you can ask them why they experience extreme climate. What is the reason for that?
Ma'am, main reason is there was no vegetation.
Okay, no vegetation. Why there is no vegetation? Again,
daytime it will be more
no
hot
rainfall.
and nighttime.
Lack of rainfall.
No water availability, ma'am.
lack of rainfall, and
Water availability is very less.
Sand. That's also the main factor, the sand. The sand has no moisture in it. Okay? No moisture in it. So it heats up fast and cools down fast. So that's the reason they are extremely hot during day and extremely cold during night. So you can even ask our children, have they ever been to Marina Beach? Though it's not a desert, the sand is powdered form only. Yes, evenings, it will be very cool to walk on that barefoot. Whereas mornings, like 10:30, 11 or 12, it's impossible to walk barefoot on the sand. But it cools down quickly because it's powdered form. I'm not talking near the shore where it is wet. I'm talking outside where it is away from the shore. So where the children can correlate that this is how it will be. When the sand is powdery form, it gets heated up quickly and cools down quickly. That is also one of the reasons wherein they have extreme climate. And since the climate is extreme, the rainfall is less, vegetation is less, water available is also less. Everything is less in number. Then comes valley. See, it's an elongated lowland between range of mountains, hills or other uplands. And often a valley has a river or a stream running along the bottom. Down they will have this. And the valleys are categorized into two, V-shaped and U-shaped valleys. Then the floodplains. It is an area always adjacent to a stream or river, which stretches from the banks of its channel to the base of the enclosing valley walls. And it experiences flooding during periods of high discharge. So it comes out, the excess water comes out and that area becomes very fertile and it's called as floodplain. Then we talk about coast. So you can define what is a coast. It's a place where the land meets the sea. This is called the coast, the border. And you can ask for examples from our own country. Yes, they can come out with one or two examples, or if it is explained in the reader, it's fine. You can tell them, visualize India map, or you can draw the bottom portion of our map and then just mark it as coastal regions and then bifurcate all the four and then talk to them about the Malabar coast or Konkan coast or Coromandel. Like that, you can talk about it if this topic is dealt in detail in the reader. If they are just simply mentioning coast, you can just very well stop with the coast is a place where the land meets the sea. That's enough. And you can give one or two examples if you feel it's necessary. Then peninsula. Peninsular is a landmass which projects into the sea and it is surrounded by water on three sides. You can ask them to give an example and pause, wait. So what example you expect them to give when you talk about peninsula?
Indian peninsula, southern part.
Yes. India is called as a peninsula country and the southern portion, it's surrounded by waters on three sides. And for knowledge sake, you can tell them, find out the largest peninsula, or you yourself can give them that Arabian Peninsula is the largest peninsula in the world. Either way, it could be done. Either you can give them the input or you can ask them to find out the largest peninsula. When we give, it goes to the whole class. When we ask them to find, maybe a handful will do it. Then, island. easily they will tell you it's a landmass surrounded by water on all sides. Okay. And you can tell. We have 2 union territories as islands. What are they?
Andaman and Nicobar and Lakshadweep.
Yes. Then you can say, since they are covered by water on all sides. Another example of our neighboring one, Sri Lanka also, you can talk. And again, world's largest island, you can give them Greenland as the example. Now, since we talk about union territory, you can ask them, what is union territory, or what do you understand by that? Or do you know the meaning for union territory? So if they tell it's fine, if not, you can just tell them that it's directly a territory, directly ruled by the union government, unlike a state which has a separate government for administrative purposes. You can just explain in a line or two the difference of the union territory and the state. Now, a river. River is formed when the glaciers and rainwater run along and finally join into ocean. And they are the fresh water and they keep moving. Okay, when you talk about river, you can ask them, can you just name any other natural water bodies? What else can you talk when you talk about river?
Lake.
Yes, lake.
Pond. Backwater.
Ponds.
Yes.
Canal, ma'am.
Now, what is this?
Lake, ma'am.
Lake,
Yes.
ma'am.
This is lake, a large area of water that is surrounded by land. What is this? Pond. A pond is formed when rainwater gets collected at a lower pit. Okay, it's a stagnant water body. It stays in one place, it doesn't move. Okay, now you can ask the children, according to you, what is the difference between a pond and a river? Are they same or not?
River flows.
River
flows on water and pond stays in a place.
Yes, river is a moving water body, whereas pond stays in one place. And what else do you see around a pond?
And vegetation.
Yes. Around a pond, all the plants are very small and they grow from the edges. Whereas in a riverside, you can find all kinds of trees, fruit trees, and even wild and domestic animals. They come in for water. You can find out fresh fish and other wildlife and livestock. Even human beings use them. Then we spoke about river and lake, pond. Now, what is the difference between lake and a pond?
Pond is a small water body. Lake is the bigger water body. The water.
Okay, then another difference.
It is present in vast area. It is in
No,
small
ma'am. Water comes from mountain, ma'am, in the lake.
Ma'am, pond is shallow. It is shallow enough. Can you see the rays down to reach the bottom? I think you can see the land here, but whereas here you see the lake. It is deep.
Deep.
Okay, that's the main difference. A lake has an area which is deep enough that the sun rays cannot reach the bottom. Wherein here, can you see the sun's rays?
Yes, ma'am.
It reaches
Yes,
at the
yes.
bottom. So the water level is shallow, it's not deep.
Oh.
That's the main difference.
And in lake, there are two types, ma'am. Freshwater lake, saltwater lake.
Yeah, that is there.
But in pond,
And that is called as lagoons. That is different.
lagoons.
Here we are talking about the
ordinary lake.
Natural thing which we use. That is lagoon, it's backwaters. When we talk about oceans, we talk about it.
Then, okay.
Not now. With this, we don't talk that. That's why I didn't bring the topic ocean at all here.
Okay.
This is the lake and this is the pond. Now, meanders. See, meanders are rivers that twist and turn before reaching their destination. And thus they develop or they cover more land by making it fertile. See this, you can give an example like pouring water or whatever it is. As the surface turns, the shape of the water too turns. And this is common in Ghats sections. Okay. These are also common in Ghats and central plains where they have adequate rainfall throughout the year. So it is defined as a pronounced curve or loop in the course of a river channel. They are in zigzag form. Example of meander is of Ganga between Allahabad and Varanasi. It goes this way. Then delta. Now, a delta is a tract of alluvium, usually fan-shaped, at the mouth of a river. You can see here one type, another type, where it deposits more material that can be carried away. So the river gets divided into two or more channels, that is the distributaries. These are called as distributaries, and they may further divide and rejoin to form a network of channels. And they are triangular in shape. You can see the deltas wherever they move. Then comes your marshlands. This we discussed yesterday. The same what we discussed yesterday. This is often found at the edges of lakes and streams. And they are the transition between the aquatic and terrestrial ecosystem. And these are the estuary. It's the wide lower course of a river where it flows into the sea. They experience tidal flow and their water is a changing mixture of fresh and salt because it gets connected with the ocean. And an arm of the sea that extends inland to meet the mouth of the river. Here, the top view of an estuary, and this is the profile view, general view of an estuary. Now, this is the physical feature of our country. See what all we discussed. The mountains here on top, all the brown shaded portions. The northern plains, you can see so many rivers flowing there. The coastal plains, from Gujarat down to the right, you can see till here, the coastal plains, then the southern plateau, and the Indian desert. The Thar Desert is also called as the Great Indian Desert. So you can even give map work. You cannot give all this together. You can take an outline map so that they will draw all this. If you want to give rivers, you should use river map. So this, as teachers, we can understand this clearly, but for children, you can just separate the maps. And even all the physical features you need not give together. Either you can ask them to mark a southern plateau, desert, and hills. You can ask them to mark Aravalli Hills. So like that, you can give in bits 3 to 4 places, one session, so that you can also roam around and check how they have marked. So it's drawn on the board or we are sharing a map. It's necessary that we go around them and explain them that this is what is this, so that it's easy for them to understand. Now, 1 minute.
3 major landforms.
Just to summarize the entire topic, I'm going to share a video which is even more interesting. So just tell me whether the audio is audible.
Yes, ma'am, audible only.
Forms.
Should I?
In this chapter, we will learn about mountains, plateaus, plains, deserts, rivers, and do MCQs. Fill in the blanks, WH questions, do map work, do activity, hone our life skills. The Earth is the only planet in the solar system that supports life. It is made up of land masses and water bodies. About 29% of the Earth's surface is land and about 71% is underwater. The surface of the Earth is not uniform and it is always changing. Some parts are flat while some are raised. This variation in physical features is called relief. The main relief features on Earth include mountains, plateaus, plains, deserts, and rivers. Mountains. The mountains are the elevated parts of the Earth's surface. They are about 900 meters higher than the surrounding areas. The mountains have steep slopes, sharp ridges, and peaks. They are the highest landforms on the surface of the Earth. They cover more than 20% of the total land area of the Earth. At the first sight, all mountains look alike, but they are formed in different ways. They differ in height and shape. They have very steep slopes. Their peaks are conical or rounded. All these variations depend upon the age of the mountains. The young mountains like the Himalayas are high and have sharp conical peaks. The old mountains like the Aravallis are low and have rounded peaks. When a number of mountains join together, they form a long range of mountains. The important mountain ranges are the Himalayas in Asia, the Andes in South America, and the Rockies in North America. Mountains often have a series of parallel ranges, which may extend for hundreds of kilometers. The climate in the mountains is cooler than that in the plains. Peaks of some mountains remain under ice and snow throughout the year. Crop cannot grow easily on mountain slopes because they have thin soil cover. These regions are also thinly populated because of an unsuitable climate, shortage of flat land, and lack of roads. Even so, the mountains are important in many ways. Health and tourist resorts have developed in the mountains because of cool and healthy climate. Rivers originated from mountains provide water for irrigation and for other needs of the people living near them. The mountains act as barriers and do not permit the hot or cold winds to enter their area. Mountain rocks are widely used as building materials. The slopes of the mountains have thick forests and rich grasslands. Some mountains have rich deposits of minerals. Plateaus. The highland with a flat top is called a plateau. It is also called a tableland. A plateau rises abruptly from the surrounding area, so its sides have steep slopes. The surface of plateau is often cut by rivers or streams. Plateaus are generally found near mountains or surrounded by mountains. Most of the plateaus are very large and extend over hundreds of kilometers. The height of a plateau is about 500 meters. Plateaus are found in every continent and cover about 1/3 of the Earth's surface. The Deccan Plateau of India is vast in size, and the Plateau of Tibet is surrounded by mountains on all sides. Some plateaus have deep canyons, such as the Grand Canyon in the Colorado Plateau in USA. Owing to high altitude, they have cool climate and the growing season is short. The plateaus are very important and useful for us. Some plateaus have rich grasslands widely used for rearing cattle and sheep. The natural landscape attracts tourists from all over the world. Some old plateaus are rich in minerals like iron, copper, silver, gold, mica, coal, and precious stones. The waterfalls help us to produce hydroelectricity. Plateaus in tropical areas are good for growing crops. Plains. A flat and low-lying, also called lowlands. There is almost no difference between the highest and lowest points of a plain. Some plain areas are absolutely level, while some have a gentle sloping. The plain areas are generally less than 200 meters in height, but the slope is very gentle. They spread over thousands of square kilometers. Most of the plain areas in the world are formed by the rivers. The northern plains and silt with them from the mountains and deposit them in the plains. Such plain areas have very fertile soil which are good for crops. The plain areas are more populated than mountains and plateaus. Many cities and towns have come up in plain areas. Such plains are located in the interior of continents. Others are along the seacoast, important than the mountain and plateaus. The plains are important in the following ways. Plains have fertile soil and are suitable for growing crops. Most ancient civilizations have come up on the banks of rivers on the plains. For example, the Indus Valley civilization came up on the banks of the river Indus. Most of the big cities and towns are located in the plains. Construction of roads, railways, airports, and canals is easier in the plains. Many large industries have developed in the plains.
You can just ask the children to make models of landforms, and I've here explained how it could be done. This is what I felt. What are all your suggestions for the landforms? Your suggestions for activities? Clay modeling, they like to do it. So it can be a group activity or it can be an individual activity. As you wish, you can have it.
Make a chart.
Yes, you can make a chart. You can ask them to draw a few landforms and write a few lines about it. Yes, that could be done. They can stick pictures or make a picture collage. That also possible.
Locating the places in the map.
Yeah, map work is of course there. The second activity, what I felt was they can draw.
In a thermocol, they can paste some sands and toys like camel. That
Instead of clay,
they can make a
they can
desert
use
model.
thermocol. It's fine. It's a very vast topic. Any one thing they can take and do. Yes, they can either take a mountain and make, or they can make a mixture of the whatever. It's their creativity. Anything else apart from drawing and model? Map work, of course, we will give map, but not as activity. Map work will be given as classwork. Yes, we all have map books. So we'll give in that. What other activity you would like to suggest?
Picture matching, ma'am.
Match the pairs, yes. You can give various places or you can ask them to identify the landform. Or even you can give the, see when you're going to teach, you will surely talk about the people living in mountains, the way they live, what is their occupation, all that will be there in the classwork. Based on that, you can ask them. You can ask them to identify or what type of clothes they wear, what sort of climate is there. Based on your content, you can change your activity also. So these are the major things. Either you can draw a picture or make a model or a collage or speak about it. This is what we can do about this.